record meetings, we control the participation and extend invitations, etc. Together with Chita, we meet every presenter prior to our meetings and familiarize them with our setup. We discuss how to get the most interaction with our audience, how to handle questions and comments, and discuss the special Zoom features like screen share, chat, raise hands, etc. And very importantly, we want our audience to really enjoy our meetings and have some fun. Only members and special invitees come to our meetings. To avoid what is called Zoom bombing, we are cautious when admitting participants. We admit through a waiting room where we verify a person's qualification to join the meeting. That is almost impossible when people sign in with just their first name. That's why we request participants to sign in with both first and last names. And I noticed today we had a few people who just signed in with their first names, and please, when you join our meeting next week and the subsequent meetings in the month of September, use your full name. It really helps us in verifying that you are a legitimate participant in our meeting. Mary Condon works extremely hard at every meeting, admitting participants as quickly as possible to move from the waiting room to the meeting, and I help her with that. So when you are concerned regarding the joining process, please check in a few minutes early. Don't wait until 11:30 or afterwards. At that time, we concentrate on the meeting and cannot help you. Our meetings start at 11:30 Eastern Time with remarks from our president, George Rubin. The actual presentations begin a few minutes later. We are very fortunate to have Chita, a professional computer and software expert and an artist, to serve as the moderator for our presentations. She fields the questions from the audience so that our presenters can better concentrate on their show. Today, she is both moderator and presenter. I hope you will enjoy this first presentation of our new season. And now, George, you're ready for your opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eckert, and welcome everyone to the Naples MacFriend User Group meeting, Wednesday, September 1st, first meeting of our new season. Welcome to our members and guests from all over the world. We have people from everywhere here today and throughout the USA and Canada. The Naples MacFriend User Group hope all 250 of our invited guests today really enjoy all of our September meetings. Many of our invited guests are from other Mac user groups throughout the world, friends of Joe Kissel of Take Control, and friends of our own members to the Naples MacFriend User Group. We welcome all of you to the meeting. Our Naples MacFriend User Group meetings are each and every Wednesday from September the 1st, today, until June the 29th, 2022. We then take July and August off in 2022. The meetings are always at the same time, 11:30 a.m., 12:45 p.m., our time, and we try to indicate on the announcements that it's either it's Eastern Daylight Time, so you can figure out your time. You must be a member of Naples Mac User Group or an invited guest to attend our Zoom meetings. We have 42 of these meetings every year. We're a very active group. We're very excited that a number of our members at this point in time are members of other Mac user groups. If other Mac user group members want to join our group, we really hope they stay within their local group also and just use us for additional information. And we like what other Mac user group members bring to our meetings, and we appreciate the association, and we're very proud of this group of people. We'd like to invite everyone to visit our website. We're very proud of it. It's about 6 months old. It was done by Jenna Cox, who's over in England, and Michael Kwasniak, who's from Suffolk, England, who is a member of our board and a member of the group, manages the website. Each and every person who attends our Wednesday meetings will receive a link from me within 48 hours of this meeting. It'll be the link to our website, and you can find the YouTube video recording of this meeting. I just want to review some of the meetings coming up. Next week on September the 8th, we have Christian Boyce. Christian will be reviewing tips and tricks in Safari for both the iPhone, iPad, and the computer. On September the 15th, we will have our own member, Mitch Briers, who's been a member of Naples Mac User Group for years and years and years. He is an iOS expert, and he will be reviewing the iPhone, iPad, and iWatch. And we're hoping there'll be a lot of great information coming out the day before from Apple that he will be reviewing. On September the 22nd, Christian Boyce is back. He will again be talking about Safari, and that should be an excellent meeting. On the last week of the month, we have the what I consider a real Apple genius, Gary Rosenzweig. Most of you know Gary. He's a producer and a host of Mac Most. He will be reviewing Monterey and the new release of the OS for the Mac, and that should be an outstanding meeting. Okay, now we get on with the meeting. Today is Chita Hunter, and thanks, Chita Hunter. She is not only, like Eckert said, being the presenter of this meeting, but also the moderator of the total event. And so welcome. Thanks a million, Chita. Love to have you back, and we're ready to roll.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everyone. I want to once again welcome you to our meeting. If you can, please mute your microphone so that it does not interfere with the presentation. And if you can, please mute your video as well, just in case. We just want to make sure nothing happens. What I'm going to cover today, we have a traditional Q&A that we go over, and I'm going to share my screen now. So again, welcome. And the questions for this Q&A came through the question answers at iCloud.com email link that I sent out. And thank you for those of you who did send questions to me. And I hope that you enjoy this presentation. So let me get started. All right. So we're going to start with the theme for this season is let's have some fun. It's the theme for all of our seasons, but this one in particular because everyone has just been either in lockdown or just had a hard time with what's going on. So we want to have some fun. And in recognition of this being a Q&A format, I thought I'd take a moment to salute the ultimate in Q&A, and that is Siri. And I'm going to have some fun with it. And I'm also going to turn the tables on you, the audience. You are asking me questions. Well, I'm going to ask you some questions too. All right, let's get going. So let's start off with Siri and this Q&A fun. And I'm not going to say the words because I don't want all of your devices to suddenly jump off and respond to me. So with this,
is 0 divided by 0?
Imagine that you have 0 cookies and you split them evenly among 0 friends. How many cookies does each person get? See, it doesn't make sense. And Cookie Monster is sad that there are no cookies. And your friends are sad because they don't exist. Oh wow, this escalated quickly.
Can I borrow $10?
You know that everything I have is yours.
How old are you?
I'm as old as the eastern wind,
and as young as a newborn caterpillar.
And
What's your favourite pastime?
My preferences are constantly changing, especially when you edit them in settings.
Do you have a partner?
I don't have a family tree, but I have a pretty great file directory.
Do you have any children?
None, the last time I checked.
How old are you?
Well, I came into existence gradually, but my first day as an assistant was the 4th of October, 2011.
and with that, I have a question for you. Where in the Apple ecosystem did Siri first show up? I want you to put your responses in the chat. And I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. And let's see who gets the answer correct. Peter Emery, thank you very much. Can you please mute your microphones? Can you please mute your microphones?
That's right.
Thank you. Siri first appeared in the App Store in February 2010. In April 2010, Apple purchased Siri for $200 million. Somebody got paid that day. All right, next question, and please put your answers in the chat pod. On October 4th, 2011, what model iPhone was Siri introduced on? Oh, Peter, you're a ringer. Mark, you as well. That is correct. Siri was introduced on the iPhone 4S. Okay, next. Thank you for your questions and thank you for your answers. So with that, that leads into my first Q&A from the group. I'm reluctant to trade in my iPhone 7 Plus. I really like the bottom button to accomplish functions, and I'm not comfortable with the touch features of the newer models. What are my options? You have an option of the iPhone SE, which does have a home button, and it is one of the newer models. So it is smaller than, I believe, the 12, but it does have a home button for those of you who do want that home button. One of the reasons why this home button was removed was it takes up screen real estate and it also wears out. So that's why it was changed. On the iPhone 7, the button was changed to what was called an haptic button, and it actually had no moving parts, but it did have a response. But even then, Apple wanted to remove the button in order to give you more real estate. Now, if you do have an iPhone 10 or greater, you can actually create a virtual home button. And I want to thank Barbara for this question because it got me to thinking. And I also created a virtual home button on my iPhone 12. And this is how. Here's my iPhone 12. And if you go to settings and then go to accessibility, you can click on or tap the touch entry. And from there, go to assistive touch and turn on assistive touch. And then this button, virtual button, will appear. Once you have this virtual button available to you, you will also then be able to set up this assistive touch button session or segment that has all of these different commands that you can now access. And if you want to customize them once they're turned on, if you go back to the assistive touch setting, you will see customize top level menu. And then you can change the different actions on this button. So it's really easy to do. It's really easy to do. And you can set up your customized buttons. So once you tap this, you can have different commands available to you. Okay, next question. And we're going to go over some more Siri fun facts. Question: who is the creator of Siri? Put your response in the chat. Victoria, you're quite welcome. Put your response in the chat. And I expect to see Peter pop up with something. Or Peter, you don't know who the creator of Siri was? The creator of Siri was Adam Kyer. The Siri International Lab in 1993. For over 2 decades, Adam and his co-founders Dag Kitlas and Tom Gruber built over 50 versions of the Siri technology. And there we go. I didn't even say hey. Adam was originally reluctant to sell this to Steve Jobs and Apple, but he says that over multiple discussions, Steve later convinced us that he understood our vision, that he wouldn't make a tiny feature, but something core to Apple's strategy across multiple devices, and that we would impact the world more as a part of Apple than as an independent company. And that's how was born. My HomePod is going off, so I have to be careful what I say now. Okay, the question is, how do you control that woman? Easy change the male voice. Ha ha ha, very funny. Okay, now the next question. What was the first question asked of Siri? And I jumped to this one, sorry. It was by Scott Forstall. And the question was, what is the weather today? All right, now let's move on to the next question. And is Jim Cutler here? Jim, are you here today?
Yeah.
All right.
Mostly.
Okay. All right, Jim, you owe my husband a beer. The reason you owe my husband a beer is for the many times I ran to him, no matter what he was doing, and said, honey, call me. And he knew I was answering this question. So not once did he complain. So this is for you. And again, you owe him a beer. All right.
Send me
So
an email where to deliver it.
okay, I will do that. All right. So the question is, for an incoming call, what are the different ways to answer or decline a call? And also on the Apple Watch. Now, at first glance, you would have thought that this was not an involved question. It actually turns into a very involved question because it depends on whether or not your iPhone screen is locked or unlocked. And you will get different items available to you. So here we go. If your iPhone is locked, you will not see a decline or answer screen. You will see this screen, slide to answer. And why? You see this because Apple wants you actively involved in answering that call. They don't want you to accidentally butt answer it, or if it's jostled around in your bag and you're getting a phone call. Apple does not want that phone to be answered unless you answer it. So that's why you don't see a decline and answer button on the lock screen. If while the phone is locked, and this is an iPhone 12, and the actions are usually the same across phones. So this is an iPhone 12, so we're hoping that it works this way. So if you double click the side button, you will immediately silence the phone and then send the call to voicemail. The first click silences, the second click sends it to voicemail. If you only do one click, it will just silence it. So that's one item. The next, if you click on any of the volume buttons, it will just silence the phone. When the phone is silenced, the call continues to go through to the caller, and eventually, if you don't answer it, it goes to voicemail. Now, if the phone is, excuse me, if the phone is unlocked, you will see a banner display across the top of the phone. And this is the default setting with the smaller banner now. And you can change that, but right now this is the default. You can click the decline button, the little red button, or you can answer the phone. If the phone is unlocked and you swipe up, this is what will happen. If you swipe up on the banner will disappear and you will see this icon in the upper left corner of the screen. It will be a pulsing phone. The call is continuing from the caller, and this either gives you the choice to just get rid of the banner, but it's also letting you know that the call is still processing in the background. It silences the ringer. So you don't hear the ringer, but you still see that the phone is processing this call. Now, if you press the volume button when you see the banner continues to display, and you can then answer the phone or not, or see other options. If you press that icon, it will give you more options again. So there's all kinds of options going on. And one of the things that Jim asked me, he said it's not obvious. It really is not obvious what this is going to do. And if you don't want to answer the phone, you're just sort of like staring at it and asking. So that's what happens with the volume. It just silences the phone, but you still see that pulsating icon. Now, if you press the side button, the banner will swipe itself upward. Then you still see the icon in the upper left corner. It's still pulsing at you. So again, you now have options. If you tap on the banner, if you tap on the icon, you'll get more options. If you press the volume button, it just rings and the call continues to process. And you can also answer the call. If you swipe down on the banner, you get this screen where you can decline the call, accept the call, remind me, or send a message. So Jim, I understood your pain once I got into this question. There's far more than meets the eye. So those are the different options, and you might want to bookmark this copy of the video so that you can see the different options that you have.
You betcha.
Okay, and thank you for that question. It really was an involved question to figure out. Now, in regards to what happens if you have a call on your Apple Watch, again, you have the decline button, you can answer, or you can tap the three dots, the ellipsis, to get more options. You can also cup your hand over your Apple Watch for 3 seconds, and it will immediately silence the call and send it to voicemail. So there's a lot going on here. All right. And thank you for that question. All right. All right, moving on. Here is another Siri fun fact. How many questions and requests does Siri get asked per month? Anyone in the chat? A gazillion, almost, Victoria, almost. Anyone else? You can use virtual. Peter, yes, you can. You should be able to use the Apple virtual button on any Apple mobile device. Wayne, while the iPhone 12 is in my pocket, Siri occasionally starts talking. How do I control that? Hopefully we'll get to that. Victoria, you're welcome. Okay. Carol, 66 million, not even close. Okay, Stephen, more than one. Yes, Siri gets asked more than one. All right, here is the answer. The Siri data science engineer has said that Siri has been used for over 25 billion requests each month. Okay, and not necessarily a fun fact, but what event occurred the next day after Siri was introduced? Can anyone in the chat? No one has an answer to that. A server crash. I'm pretty sure that happened the day Siri was introduced. iPhone 5 came out. No. And Liam, you are correct. No, Craig. The answer by Liam in the chat is yes. It's not necessarily a fun fact, but on August the 5th, 2011, the day after Siri was introduced, Steve Jobs passed away. And see if I can go back to that slide. Because there is a quote by Steve that I love. Let's see if I can get that there. One of my favorite quotes by Steve Jobs is, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." All right, thank you very much for your answers. Okay, now let's move on to our next question. My spouse and I like to have our iPhones on silent with no vibration. How do we contact each other in the case of emergencies? In the Contacts app on your phone, you can turn on emergency bypass. Emergency bypass allows sounds and vibrations from this contact, even when the iPhone is set to silent or when Do Not Disturb is on. All right, I need to divulge that this question is actually from me. And I thought it would be very well received. And I thought it was a good question because during an emergency, I was not able to contact my husband. And I think I called him about 11 times. And my husband was driving and his phone was sitting right next to him on the car seat. But he did not hear it. He doesn't have his phone on vibrate. And he was busy driving as he should have been. But he needed to get this call. And so this is what I ended up doing, turning on this setting. So how do you turn on this setting? In Contacts, and this is from my iPhone, you want to go to the contact whom you want to set up emergency bypass for. And this is my husband, Chris Hall. And you'll see here, ringtone and text. I have it turned on for text tone, but not ringtone. So there's a little arrow right here. And if you tap on that arrow, it will then take you to this screen, where at the very top of this screen, you can turn on emergency bypass. All you have to do is toggle it on and off. At that point, you'll then see this emergency bypass on. So I did the same for ringtone, and I did the same thing for text tone. So now there is no excuse whatsoever for him to say, honey, I didn't hear it. So now it's there. And it also comes on even if do not disturb is on your phone. So for those of you with emergency contacts, you might want to do this for one or several. Any questions? So the caller can set it. No, Huey, you have to set this on your end. So it's not the caller. Peter, thank you, done. You're welcome, Victoria. So if you just go to that contact and you want to click on ringtone or text tone, and once you click on that arrow, then you can turn on that emergency bypass. But you have to do it on your end, not the other person. All right. You are welcome, Betty. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Now, my next question. I love this question. If my wife's Apple Smart keyboard is not perfectly aligned, it stops working with her iPad Pro and gives an accessory not supported alert. I've cleaned the contacts on the iPad and keyboard, magnetic strip, restarted the iPad, and even tried my iPad Pro. Same results. Is it time for a new keyboard? Duh. My short answer, besides duh, is yes. My long answer is it depends on your threshold of pain and your disrupted workflow. So Dale, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. When I am an advocate of when something disrupts your workflow so intently as this, it is time to get a new one.
Sure.
So,
but my wife has a large threshold of pain.
well, I don't know what to say. Then you know what? Let her use it.
Yep.
At some point, when that pain gets to be too much, then she will kick it to the side. But it's too much right now, even for me. So I just say yes. All right.
Okay. Great.
All right. Stay on the line. You got another question next.
Okay.
All right. Now, this question is about dark sky. Dark sky weather complication is not displaying the same temperature as the weather app on the Apple Watch. For the same day, I get different temperatures. So what is the temperature? So you can see in these images, Dale is getting 75 degrees, 71 degrees, and 77 degrees. My short sarcastic answer was, Dale, it's in the 70s. Okay. All right. My long answer is, I don't know. I read about this problem and it seems to be a well-known problem with this complication. Some are complaining that it only started after Apple purchased Dark Sky. So is there anyone in the chat who could answer this question for us, for Dale? Are you familiar with Dark Sky and the problems that are being had? Dark Sky isn't available in Australia. Okay, thank you, Peter. Okay, all right, so I don't see any answers, but if you do have an answer for this, put it in the chat pod. Right now, I have not seen an answer for this question, Dale. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and thank you for the question. And thank all of you for the questions that you brought in. All right, got that one. And Barbara, this one's for you. Is there a faster way to eliminate old emails? For example, from a company like Bed Bath & Beyond. So far, I can eliminate about 100 at a time by searching in my inbox and then sending unwanted messages to the trash. Barbara, do I have a YouTube video for you? You can create email rules to send the emails to a specific folder, and then you can easily delete the contents of that folder. On my YouTube channel, I have put a Tame Your Inbox video that I did maybe a year ago, maybe longer, but it is still quite relevant to what's going on right now. It will give you in detail how you can make rules, create rules, smart rules, and filters to organize, to tame your inbox so that email, spam mail, junk mail, mail that you have subscribed to, but you get 80 of them a day, how you can create rules and filters to at least make that a little more sane in your consumption of it. And then when you want to delete emails from the same person, you just go into that mailbox, select all, and delete the emails from it. So Barbara or anyone, please take a moment to look at this video. If you do have questions, I have divided it into chapters so that you can select the chapter that you want. But for those of you who have seen this video, if you could, give some encouragement and comment on it in the chat, I'd greatly appreciate it. But this video will give you this video will give you great detail about how to create rules. Can you create rules and filters on iPad? You can, but they are limited. The video goes into that as well. So take a look at it. Please like and subscribe. Take a look at it. I have other videos about Apple devices and stuff and software on my YouTube channel as well. But take a look at this one. This will answer your question about rules. All right.
Thank you so much. What a relief.
You are so welcome. Thank you. I appreciate the question. Okay. And my next question, and let me actually, while I'm here, let me put the URL to this video in the chat so that you can have it. Okay, Tame Your Inbox. I just put the link in the chat so that you can quickly get to it. And thank you for watching it. Greatly appreciated. Okay, now, next question. I have a 2019 MacBook Pro, and it has the new touch bar at the top. If I need to quiet the sound of a YouTube video or some other audio, how can I do it quickly? The bar at the top takes too much time. I am an advocate of using the keyboard. The keyboard is the quickest way to do most things. And the keyboard shortcut for increasing or decreasing the audio, the volume, is Option, Shift, and press the volume up or volume down buttons on the keyboard. And that will quickly access the volume and turn it up or turn it down. If you press the space bar, that will actually pause that video to give you a chance to turn the audio up or down. All right. So hopefully that is very helpful to you. And if you need to get to the sound preferences, if you press the Option volume up button, it will actually open up the sound preferences for you. All right. Will emergency bypass, I'm looking in the chat. Will emergency bypass break through do not disturb? Yes, it will. All right. Have a way to block some all spam calls. Question. Okay, not a question. All right. We love dark sky. One thought is that there may be setting differences. I'm not sure, Carol, but are you having the same problem as Dale, as not seeing the same temperature throughout?
I haven't recognized that problem, but I do know there is a difference between, say my home zip code is 44131. But if we set it instead to show the temperature where I am based on location, it might not be the same. Maybe they're measured at opposite sides of town. I don't know. But
okay.
Those aren't the same thing.
Go ahead. And you know, I do agree with that, because some temperatures are taken from different locations in different cities. So where my temperature is, like I have a temperature gauge outside of my home, that temperature gauge may read maybe 2 or 3 degrees different than what Apple is telling me on my Apple Watch. So Dale, that could be an issue as well, why you're seeing different temperatures from where those locations are taken.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. There is a comment about the Apple Smart Keyboard in the chat. When the keyboard doesn't work, the connecting strip inside the cover has separated. Check out YouTube video on how to fix. So Dale, that is for you. And I thank you very much for that, Joseph. Okay. Michael Tolper, if I have my phone set to silence calls from those with not caller ID, is it possible to actually receive those calls if I have those callers set to emergency bypass? I would say if that caller is not in your contact, you can't set it to emergency bypass. So that caller has to be in your contacts in order for your phone to respond to that command that you set. Okay. Dark sky uses my street for the temperature. Weather app uses general area. Okay, that's very interesting. When you say my street, Al, how does it do that? Usually it's going from a set city location. You can open up your mic if you need to, Al. Al Katz?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I have it set for my exact address. And so when I just did it now as a test, it has my street with the temperature, but the weather app has a more distant location and has a different temperature. It's done by location. So when I move, for example, to a few blocks away, it'll have that location as the temperature. That was the beauty of dark sky. It gives you exactly where you're located. So I know, for example, if it's going to rain on my block, it does rain. It's amazing.
So it shows that little rain cloud that's covering just your block. It knows. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Florida, it can rain in very narrow areas, and it does.
That's really interesting that dark sky can do that. Dale, do you have a response to that?
I've been playing with my dark sky settings to see if it's location-based issue or not. And I have had the positive exposure dark sky, knowing it's going to rain where I'm at out in the country in an RC flying field. So he's right about that part. I don't know if it's causing my watch discrepancy or not, though. But I'm telling that now that people brought it up.
Okay, and Debbie, unmute yourself. You have a comment. Debbie Clark?
Yeah, I did it. I think that it changes based on where you are, as everybody is saying. My location is 20 miles north of where I think weather is measuring. So it's warmer there than it is here. So it's going by my exact street location.
Okay, interesting. Robert Wilkinson, you have a comment.
Yes, that was one of the beauties of the dark sky application was their algorithms that would do what they referred to as a hyper local weather forecasting. And it was very, very accurate, whether I'm at home or on the road someplace, just select current location. And it was providing very precise information. As Apple seems to be integrating dark sky into its weather app, weather app formerly was contracted using Weather Channel data. We're starting to see some of those specialized functions starting to move over into the weather app, and I would expect we'll see that more of that happening in the future.
Chita?
Yeah. Yes. Hi. Who's speaking?
Al?
Hi, Al. Go ahead.
I'm on the settings of the dark sky right now, and it has two options. One is my home address, and the other is current location. And I have it set to my, in this minute, current location, but it's my home, so there's simultaneous.
Okay, good to know. Okay, Frank Croft, do you have a comment?
Well, there's a lot of people that are buying these weather stations around the U.S. and the world, and they actually have the ability of reporting those weather situations to dark sky and other people that are collecting this, and that is part of what goes into the hyperlocal. In my area, there are no local reports, and we're in the hills, and so the dark sky hyperlocal does not work.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. Thank you, Joseph Tate. You're saying it works for you. Mitch, that rain cloud has been following me for years. Okay, Mitch. I'm sorry about that, Mitch. Okay. Keith Kaiser, do you have a comment?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes, we can.
I'm an amateur radio operator and a Skywarn observer, and one of the things we do know is the National Weather Service likes to take reports as quickly as possible from local areas as well through the use of hobby weather stations that quite a number of people have, and through verbal reports, of course. And I think the National Weather Service is still feeding most of the information to dark sky, and using dark sky uses that with their algorithms to determine your local weather, whether it's raining or not. It'll see a cloud above you and it'll do that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Keith. Peter, Emery, really? Okay. That's funny, Peter. Thank you so much. Okay. Is Dark Sky app already on my iPhone? It is a separate app, Stephen, that you have to download. Dave McGuire, please unmute yourself and make your comment.
Hello, thank you. So out of curiosity, I was checking my locations on my devices, and the iPhone is showing me my home. Boom, no problem, my address, great. And on my iPad, it is showing me the house 2 doors down as current location. And so part of me is wondering if maybe that has something to play with maybe what Dale's issue is, where he's getting different things. I wouldn't think it is, because I'm seeing the same temperature in both locations, and looking at my watch, I'm seeing the same temperature, and it's showing me my home location as well. So it does seem odd that it's just a little bit different. I would have fully agree that since Apple took over dark skies, weird things have happened. And it wouldn't be a surprise that they are working on it, hopefully.
Okay.
And we'll get it solved. So
I'm curious, Dave, why is your iPad or what device showing the neighbor's house 2 doors down?
I have no idea at all because it's on my Wi-Fi, not his. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't even have Wi-Fi. So
very interesting. A few houses different. And David Winograd. Sorry, I apologize if I butchered your name.
No, it's
okay.
Winograd.
Okay.
I just checked it as he was speaking, and my house is 629, which it shows as current on the iPhone, and it shows 623 on the iPad. And I'm wondering, is it because I don't think the iPad has GPS in it as well, does it? Or somehow differently? Because I know I can't use an iPad in the car for GPS.
Actually,
So
you
I think
can.
something different is going on.
Dave McGuire, answer that question because that's an interesting question.
I would be happy to help with this. If you have a cellular iPad, you have GPS and you can use it in the car.
I do not.
Okay. If you did though, and a friend of mine purchased one, but did not set up the cellular plan because he discovered that he could use this GPS feature, as in like maps, in his car on a bigger screen, such as the iPad, rather than the iPhone. And GPS does not need a cellular service to pick up, because that is a separate chip altogether. So if someone was ever to be concerned about buying a cellular model versus a Wi-Fi model, one feature, if you are a traveler, is the cellular model will give you access to apps such as maps and other things like that, because it does pick up the GPS service for you. But the Wi-Fi model, you are correct, does not offer that feature, unlike your phone, which has GPS built in separately. That GPS will work even if you don't have cell service. So if you were, say, in an area where, like in the mountains, where cell service might be limited, the GPS should still pick up because that's based off a satellite.
All right. Carol has an
Thank
interesting.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Dave. Carol has an interesting question. Go ahead, Carol.
Do you mean my very last thing where I say every device?
Yes.
I'm saying that every Apple device that includes Find My device has GPS capability. You might need a connection if the GPS Maps app you choose is Google or Apple, but if instead you choose Here We Go, which is an app in the App Store, it operates just like a Garmin or a TomTom. They are equipped to do that. It depends on whether you download maps in advance or not. But finding where you are on a map is already built into every device.
Is that regardless of whether it is a Wi-Fi or a GPS device?
Yes, what I'm saying is my Apple 3GS phone has this capability. If you download the Here We Go app and download the relevant maps.
Right, but that's a phone. And
but with no card in it, with no what do you call those little cards? SIM cards. It's not a phone. It's just an iPod. But it works. I used to keep a separate device in my car for this purpose, so I didn't have to use up my phone's battery or my data.
Okay.
And that's why iPads work, because they have the location service so that you can find it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any last comments on this question or any other comments on this question? Very interesting, involved question with Dark Sky. You didn't know you'd get so much response, Dale, did you?
Chita, can I say one that I also typed in there?
Go ahead.
I was speculating, but if you choose not to mirror my iPhone with your watch, you might have to do those location settings separately on the watch and the phone. Whereas if you're mirroring, they should be the same. I'm talking about dark sky.
Okay. All right, great. And any other comments while I go over the questions to make sure that we try to get every single one answered? And again, thank you for your questions. Chris Wilder, go ahead. Open your mic, ask your question or comment.
Got there. Hello.
Hi, Chris.
It's relatively straightforward. The GPS tracking system using satellites is based in the phone chip. So as I put in my comment, if your device has no phone chip, like a wireless only iPad, no GPS, it'll find you using radio masts, but it's not a sat nav because it doesn't have sat nav. You need the radio chip, the phone communications chip where the GPS resides. Because I've had this. I ended up buying a quite expensive iPad with the phone chip in it. And as someone has already said, I don't use the phone chip at all. I don't even have a chip in the machine, but it does give me full GPS. Drove across France with it a couple of years ago. Absolutely first rate.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate your response. Okay, good to hear, fellow Brett. Hi, Stephen. Great, thank you very much. All right, now with that, are there any other questions about any of the questions and answers that I've gone over so far? If you do have one, put it in the chat, and we will give you a second. While you're putting your questions in the chat, I have another video for you.
Know any good jokes?
I love playing tricks on vampires. They're such suckers.
Why do you vibrate?
It's just me doing a little G.
Hold on a second. See if I can make this louder. It was louder. Now it's very low.
Know any good jokes?
I love playing tricks on vampires. They're such suckers.
Why do you vibrate?
It's just me doing a little jig inside here.
What's your favorite movie?
I don't watch a lot of movies.
What do you dream about?
I once had a dream that all my ones switched places with my zeros. It was weird.
Tell me a joke about math teachers.
Did you hear about the band called 1023 Megabytes? They're good, but they haven't got a gig yet.
Thank you so much, Jim. That is my favorite. All right, and now I have more questions in the chat. So we have, thank you, Carol, appreciate it. Does anyone have any experience on how well the fall detection feature on the iWatch, the Apple Watch, works? Will it call emergency services? Joe Marks, I can personally answer this. I had a fall last June while I was playing tennis, and my phone tapped me on the wrist after I'd fallen and lay there for a second. And the Apple Watch was asking me, "Are you okay? Do you need to call emergency services?" And it kept tapping me until I responded with no. So it will call emergency services for you. And it is very aware of a hard fall. And I took a very hard fall. Joe, do you have any other questions in that regard?
Sheila, what would have happened if you didn't respond at all?
It would call emergency services.
About a month ago, my wife fell in the driveway. I had already gone in the house to prepare the way. She has a walker anyway. She decided to try some exercises and apparently slipped. And I didn't know it. I got a call from my daughter in Minnesota saying, "Where's mom?" So I went out in the driveway, found her down, helped her up. About the time I helped her up, the police officer and 2 ambulances arrived.
Okay.
So it not only called the emergency contact, my daughter, it called services, and they came right away. And I've got to look into why I didn't hear her text message, or maybe that isn't included in the breakthrough. That's one thing I don't know the answer to, but it was a really concrete example of.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Joe. Debbie, the watch says it appears you had a fall, but doesn't call automatically. No, the watch will not call automatically. It will give you, I believe, 30 seconds to answer, to respond to it. Otherwise, it will call. After you don't respond, after you do not tap that button that says, "No, I'm okay," which I had to tap, it will call emergency services if you do not tap that button. And I believe it also had a button if do you need to call emergency services also. So you get the option, but you have to tap something. If you do not, it will call emergency services for you. And thank you. Joe, I would highly recommend you buying one. And when I first got my Apple Watch many years ago, I purchased it for the exercise features. But I also realized that at some point, with everything that I do, with all the jumping, running, playing tennis, everything that I can think of, I knew that at some point in time, I was going to fall. So it was very helpful. And if you do not respond to that "No, I'm okay" button, when the Apple Watch calls emergency services, it will also call your emergency contacts. Okay, so now I'm reading messages here. If you have an Apple Watch Series 4 or later with cellular, it will call emergency services if you do not move in 30 seconds. Yes, it will. Thank you, Frank Croft. And Joe, I don't know if you are a member of NMUG, but we're going to have classes starting in January. I'm going to do a class on health, the Apple Watch, and the Apple phone. There's some interesting things that I'm learning right now about how the how the iPhone analyzes your walk. So that's a very interesting thing. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Okay, Patrick, ask your question. Patrick Marat, please open your mic and ask your question.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
What was happening was last winter, I'm in Canada and we have lots of snow. And when I'm shoveling, let's say I'm shoveling with intensity, the fall detection keeps activating it. So it was useless. I mean, every 30 seconds, it would ask me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And because of that, I ended up deactivating the fall detection.
All right.
So how do we deal with that?
Tell the Apple Watch that you are doing an activity. If you're doing an activity, it sort of knows what to expect. Like, for example, some people were saying that when they play tennis, the Apple Watch was doing the same thing, asking, are you okay? Well, I always set my Apple Watch to let it know that I'm playing tennis, so I never get an alert. And someone else chimed in about that as well, saying that the same thing would happen if she did not set her Apple Watch to let it know that she was playing tennis. So set it to an activity to see if it does the same thing.
Oh, great. Thanks. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, you're quite welcome. Alan Kent, please open your mic and ask your question.
I have an Apple Watch that has cellular, but I've never activated the cellular. The question is, if I have an emergency fall, will it call 911 even though I have not activated the cellular, assuming that my iPhone is elsewhere?
I would think so. Dave McGuire, can you answer that question?
I'm sorry, could I hear that question one more time, please?
Yes. I have an Apple Watch that has cellular included, but I have never activated the cellular for my watch. If I am wearing my watch and have a fall and my iPhone is nearby, I know it would make the call through my iPhone. But if my iPhone is not nearby, will my watch still make the emergency phone call?
Yes and no. If you are within your Wi-Fi, let's say you're in your backyard and you're within the Wi-Fi range of your home, it should still make the connection and make the call. If you are out at the park in your car, your phone is in your car and you're out for a stroll, no, it won't.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Welcome.
Wayne, I would imagine that you probably need to set your Apple Watch to an activity as well. Okay. Barbara and Alan, thank you for your favorite joke. Yes, why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. I agree with that. That is a very cool dad joke. Okay, how do I determine if fall alert is activated on my Apple Watch? Linda, if you are over 65, if you have that information in your phone, it is automatically turned on. Otherwise, you can go into your iPhone and turn it on. Joe, do all watches have this feature? The fall detection? Yes. No. That started with Apple, I believe Series 4. I think it started with Series 4. Thank you very much, Carol, for confirming that. Fall detection started with Series 4, and come on from there. Okay, James Corsica, I've had the fall function come on from vigorous applause. James is in theater, so yes, you are very animated with your actions. Okay. Where do I set activity for the Apple Watch? You can go to that little person icon, tap on it, and then you can set almost any activity. If you don't find an activity for what you're doing, set it to other, and then at least it knows you're doing something. Okay, thank you, but I don't see it in the health app. It is not in the health app, Linda. Linda, unmute yourself and ask your question, please. You're sending those directly to me. I want you to send them to everyone.
I have an iWatch and I was looking to see if fall detection is there. You said that since I'm over 65, it is, but I'm looking at the health app and I don't see it anywhere there.
It's not in the health app. Can someone help me out here? It's in the settings. It's not in the health app, it's in the settings.
Okay.
All right. Linda,
yes.
I'm gonna show an email in a few minutes. Send that question to me in my email and I will answer it and respond to it and show you where it is. Okay.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. All right. Now with that, I am going to.
Wait, before you leave the iWatch, I have a question about atrial detection.
Go ahead, Alan.
I tried to get it to set up a detection of atrial fibrillation, and it asked me immediately whether doctors ever said I suffer from it. And I said yes, and it blocked me from setting it up. Do you have any idea why that is the case?
I do not. Can someone answer or respond to Alan? I do not. That could be, send that to me as a question, Alan, and that's a question that I will delve into for you. Debbie Clark, on the Apple Watch, it's the workout app with the little green guy, right? Yes, you are correct, Debbie. That is how you set up a workout activity. All right, we are getting close, and I'm sure other people will have. I need you to mute yourselves, please. Please mute your mics. On the how do I prevent mine from popping up? All right, Don, that's a question you can send to me. All right, so thank you. Peter, I really appreciate your responses to the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who has given a response in the chat. I really thank you so much for being interactive. And let's see, what do I have here? Whoops, back up.
Know any good?
Okay, yeah, we got that. I want to give a big thank you to those of you who sent me Siri videos. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Jim Corsica. Thank you, Mike Wozniak. Thank you, Dale Stephan. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Betty. I really appreciate you joining in on my little fun-filled day. I hope that those of you who would like to send me a Siri video that I can use for later, please do so. I'll show you the email where you can send them to. But I want to thank these people in particular. I really appreciate them helping me out. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. And you are okay. And next week, we have Christian Boyce, and Christian is going to be going over tips and tricks for the iPhone Part 1. We're going to see Christian twice this month. And with me, please take a look at my YouTube channel. I have some videos there that I think are very useful. I'll be adding more soon. And if you want to send me an email for our Q&A session, please send it to questionsanswers@icloud.com. And I thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you. You're welcome. And with that, I'm going to hand this over to George. Go ahead and take it away. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We really enjoyed having a large crowd today. Chita did an outstanding job of keeping everything under control. I thought the format of her meeting was outstanding, fun, and very enjoyable. And you can go ahead and unmute yourself and give a thanks to Chita.